So we are on the Raceface Atlas flat pedals. I usually run the Sam Hill nuke proofs or just nuke proof Horizons. Now I've been on a few different flat pedals. These things are absolutely excellent. The platform is adequate, so long enough for them to not roll underneath your feet in sketchy situations, which will definitely cause you grief, and wide enough that it feels like there's a complete platform there. It's not like narrow. The Raceface chesters are a little bit narrower, but still, they still feel pretty good. I haven't spent a lot of time on the chesters, so I can't review them as such. But I was talking recently about these pins, the difference between a threaded pin, so a threaded pin on the nuke proof, which is a little bit wider, and a solid pin, these 6-sided pins on the Raceface pedal, and a couple of different pedals. So the one up comes with a fairly narrow pin as well. Now, first of all, massive shout out to Phil from Trail Talk MTB. So he's got a YouTube channel. It's cool as hell. He's super knowledgeable. Good guy. Sent me these out of the blue. Said, look, if you want to test these pedals out, I'm more than happy to lend them to you. So huge shout out, dude. Thank you very much. The platform on these things, the grip feels excellent. It's very secure. It feels really, really good once you've got weight on your feet. Comparing them to the nuke proof in that same scenario, once all your weight's on the pedals, the nuke proof, super grippy, but it feels like you've got more ability to twist slightly and just maneuver your feet a little bit. The Atlas feels like you're clipped in once you got your weight on the shoe, so you can't really turn left or right. There's no real float on it. So that's positive and negative. The fact there's no float will keep you in more control of the bike, I guess. And it'll also put a little bit more strain on your knees if you're tweaking left and right unnecessarily, and you kind of get your foot stuck in a spot. So riding up the hill, pedaling on them, it feels like, I'm pretty sure it's a completely flat. It must be a completely flat pedal, because once all your pressure's on, it feels like this part here kind of pushes the ball of your foot up, and the rest of your foot kind of splays across here, which creates plenty of grip. But after climbing, so I climbed from Waterfall Gully Road up to Crafers, to the top of Ewok there, and by the time I was getting towards the top, it felt like I was developing a hot spot in my foot, which may have been cutting a bit of circulation off to my toes, not too sure, but it was just a hot spot, and it was a hot day as well, so all the factors were kind of maybe against it. But anyway, that was a little bit of a thing that I noticed that I've never noticed with the nuke proofs. The nuke proofs, I can pedal on these all day, feel super comfortable. The only downside to these is when you're on the pedal, when you've got all your weight on them, like I said, you can twist around a little bit more on these ones, and it's kind of easier to slip your foot when you're climbing. If you're climbing technical stuff, I've definitely slipped my foot a couple of times off the nuke proof, whereas this, I don't think it was as noticeable. It felt like there's a bit more grip overall. So those pins tend to dig into the shoe more, whereas these pins they do dig in, but it takes more pressure to dig them into the shoe than these. These go straight in because they're penetrating. These ones are dissipating force a little bit more. Coming back down, wicked support, wicked wide enough to not worry about, they're a bit narrow. They're not so wide that they're going to be clipped on anything. They're super thin. They're quite thin, so if I put them side by side, you can see the difference there for sure. Pin for pin, you can see if I zoom in close, you can see there that the threaded pin almost goes around that Raceface pin, so definitely a wider pin. I felt confident everywhere on these pedals. Never slipped the foot, never had a weird issue. Whenever your weight's down, you are glued to it. It's basically being clipped in without the bike actually being attached to you. So very impressed with the Atlas. I did tweak my knee today. Don't think it's got anything to do with the pedal. It may have, it may have been a matter of, my foot was stuck in a weird spot. So I hit a tree. I just clipped a tree with my little finger, and I hit it. I was going reasonable pace, and it turned my front end in a little bit of a sketchy off camber rocky section, and I went over the bars and basically got yard sailed down the hill. I don't know if just the way I landed, I hurt my knee. But yeah, so I'm going to be off the bike for a few days at least. So I've only had one day to test these. That's my, I guess you could call it initial impressions / review, because I'm going to be off for, I reckon I'm going to be off for probably at least a week. But yeah, everything's good about these pedals. The only thing I don't like is where it mounts up. You've got no room for, I don't believe, I might be wrong here, but here in Adelaide we've got the Inside Line Downhill State Series, and we use crank trailers to get the bikes up the top of the hill. So your crank slides into the, upside down obviously, but slides into the, it's got like a bit of C channel or whatever, and then it slides into here, and this part of the pedal needs to be fairly narrow like it is on most standard pedals. Now I think maybe we have a few slots that allow for this bigger one, but I'm not 100% sure. I'm not too sure, so maybe that's something you'd have to check if you're thinking about buying these pedals. But if you just want performance out of your flat pedals, these things are excellent. I'm not sure about longevity, I'm not sure about how long these bearings last, but it seems like it's an easy rebuild process. Yeah, they come in whatever colour you want, more or less, so they've got a fair few different colours, and they're on the pricier end of the scale, but look for a deal. As soon as they're on sale, grab hold of them, because they are tremendous grip. They're all you need. They're not too wide. They're not going to shiv you off the side of a hill when you clip it on an off camber section. They're great. If you put them up like for like with the nuke proof. So let's set that where it would be. They're exactly the same width. They are basically exactly the same width, so to me they feel great. Can't really say anything bad about them. Heaps of grip. If you like them, get onto it for sure. Thanks again to Phil from Trail Talk MTB. Definitely appreciate you guys sending me stuff, and any of you guys out there to let me borrow your gear and whatever, yeah, shout out. Thank you very much.